Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to my lecturer Sir Muhammad Azmi bin Adnan and all my fellow friends. So for this week, we will proceed with our topic in professional development, which is effective teaching and effective learning. So before we start, I will introduce myself and my team. My name is Muhammad Hidir bin Jasmi, and four friends of mine, Akila binti Anwar, Siti Nur Natasha binti Muhammad Said, Ismail bin Muhammad Rozi, and Aidil Faris bin Azman. So here the table of content for this evening group presentation. So we have 5 subtopic and 1 subtopic that we will discuss together at the end of presentation. So I, as a first presenter, will explain to you about definition and relationship between effective teaching and effective learning. And next, for the second subtopic, which is best practice, will be presented by Akila binti Anwar. Siti Nur Natasha binti Muhammad Said will explain to you about transfer of learning and knowledge. The next subtopic, which is classroom management issue, will be presented by Ismail bin Muhammad Rozi. And lastly, we have Aidil Faris bin Azman for impact and closure. Okay guys, so let's proceed for our first subtopic, which is definition and relationship between effective teaching and effective learning. Firstly, before we go more deeply about this topic, we have to know first why we need to learn this topic. So it is because we, as a future teacher, we need to know our role as a teacher on what we can achieve for the student, or what would the student have to achieve in this class, on our class, for this subject and certain topic. So we have to know our own focus and our role to help the student to maximize to achieve the outcome. And also we have to recognize the student learning needs on what the student need in this class to have an effective learning. So that's the reason why we have to learn, or why we have to get know about this topic, which is effective teaching and effective learning. So here the definition of effective teaching. So according to curricula in 2009, effective teaching refers to the extent to which teacher use learning outcome successfully to produce the desired outcome from the teaching. So in other meanings, we can define effective teaching in many ways, including teacher behavior, teacher knowledge, or teacher belief. Or in a simple meaning, we can define effective teaching as the ability of from the teacher to improve a student achievement. So here the others definition of effective teaching. Han on 2017 state that to become effective teacher is very important to have a good communication skill. So as I said just now, effective teaching can be defined in many ways, such as teacher abilities, teacher knowledge. So Han state that have a good communication skill is very important in teaching, or to become an effective teacher. So by good on 2009 state that effective teaching is defined as ability to improve student achievement. So let's proceed to the definition of effective learning. So learning involves the whole personality, such as sense, feelings, intuitions, belief, values, and wills. So according to Moreno in 2004, says that effective learning is a reflective activity that allows the learner to use a past knowledge to understand and evaluate the present, and to shape future action and formulate a new knowledge. So in a simplest way, we can define the term of effective learning as a method of teaching and learning that actively involves student. So teacher in their method of teaching, and student in their own learning and personal development. You see on the slides, it is the diagram of Bernard's paradigm of teaching and learning relationship. So as you can see on the diagram, you can see the learning process is in between the teacher and the student. So it is very related to each other. is very related on how the teacher and student involved together to produce the outcome of effective teaching and effective learning. So generally, we can see it is very related. That teacher have to maximize the student knowledge and have to acquire the student previous experience and previous knowledge during the teaching, and also the student will progress the idea from his previous knowledge and previous lesson during their learning, so that both of teaching and learning can be effective as it is. So that's the relation between teacher and student together to produce the outcome of effective teaching and effective learning.
Thank you, Heather, for the explanation. I'm the second presenter for today. Akilah binti Anwar would like to continue. I'm going to present about the best practices in effective teaching and effective learning. So, what is best practices? Have you ever heard about the term of best practices before? Best practices describe what works in particular situation or environment. It also means a professional procedure that are accepted or prescribed as being correct or most effective. It is also referred to as a research-based practice when the data support the success of the practice. There are many importance we can get through best practices. So today I would like to highlight the 3 important of best practices. Firstly, it helps teacher to choose appropriate teaching strategies and intervention. As we know, when the teacher want to teach new topic, the teacher will find way or strategy to make sure the student get the idea of the topic and understand the topic better. Secondly, best practices can help teacher in maintaining high standard of professionalism, property, and performance when teaching. Recently, we had many issues about teacher quality. So, through best practices, it will help teacher to maintain their professionalism, property, and can perform in teaching and learning session. And lastly, teacher will be able to use school tools, property, and resources appropriately in order to make sure the teaching and learning become more effective. Now let's proceed to the standard of best practices. There are 4 standard of best practices discussed in this part. Firstly, it is about teacher clarity. Second, classroom discussion. Third, metacognitive strategy. And lastly is about feedback. First is teacher clarity. Clarity in teaching can be defined as a state in which teacher is able to transmit the information and knowledge of the subject matter that he or she is command of. The clarity in teaching can be achieved by clarifying the purpose and learning outcome when a new chapter of the subject begin. In Malaysia education system, each chapter has a set of learning standard and also descriptors for each performance level to indicate the performance standard. Teacher begin the lesson with a short review to make sure the student get the idea of the topic, and then when the teacher begin in a new unique project, teacher will clarify the purpose and the learning goal and also provide the explicit criteria on how student can be successful. Other than that, it is also ideal to present model or example to students so that they can see what the end product may look like. For your information, clarity is one of the main effective teaching dimension according to the Feldman in 1997. So here is the proof that teacher can need to be clarity or transparent when they are teaching in the classroom. The second standard in best practices is classroom discussions. Classroom discussion is a method of teaching that involves the entire class to discuss about the topic. Teacher need to always frequently step off stage and facilitate the entire classroom discussion. This is because they can share their knowledge and idea. It also encourages the student-centered approach, which has been introduced through KSSR and KSSM. It is also a great opportunity for teacher to formatively assess through observation on how well their students are grasping a new content and concept for the topic. The next standard is feedback. Feedback is a great way as it helps learners in many ways. One of them is it efficiently directs their attention and energy, help them avoid major errors, and keep them from learning things that later will have to unlearn at a great cost. Teachers need to provide more group feedback in order to see collective class growth and area of needs. Learning often takes place best when the students have opportunity to express their ideas and get feedback from their peers. From that, we can learn from our mistake, right? And also, not to forget, students should be also given opportunity to provide feedback to the teacher. From that, the teacher can adjust the learning process, material, and also the instruction accordingly. Last but not least, it is about metacognitive strategy. Metacognition refers to the awareness of one's own knowledge, either one knows or does not know, and research shows that metacognitive skill can be taught to students to improve their learning skill. So, through this metacognitive strategy, students are given opportunity to plan or organize, maintain their own work, and also direct their learning and do a self-reflection along the way. So, when the students are given time and space to be aware of their own knowledge, automatically student ownership will increase. Here are some words from Willa Foster. He said that high performance is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, careful planning, and a skillful executions, the wise choice of many alternatives. So let us wonder and start to practicing the best practices in our teaching and learning life. That's all from me, Akila. Now let's proceed to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My name is Siti Nur Natasha binti Muhammad Said from ED246 8B, and now I want to continue my group presentation about transfer of learning and knowledge. Okay, for this slide, there are 4 theoretical models of transfer of learning. Okay, the first one is theory of identical elements. Second is theory of low and high root transfer. Third is theory of analogy and abstraction. Fourth is situate learning theory. Okay, the first one is theory of identical element. That is learning that can be transferred from one activity to another activity that similar or same level, that share many method, content, and situation are same. Okay, the next is theory of low and high root transfer. Okay, low root transfer is involve the triggering or well practice routine by stimulus conditions to those in learning context. The keywords for low rote transfer is natural reaction and no critical thinking. For example, shoes tying and type of keyboard. Okay, next is high rote transfer, involve deliberate, effortless abstraction and search of connection. Okay, for example, it is more thinking and more understand, like fraction in mathematics. Okay, next is theory of analogy and abstraction. This is about an activity by which aware of similarities among our experience. It is means that the transfer of learning is according or through the experience. Okay, the last is situate learning theory. Okay, situate learning theory is learning and transfer occur when learner give opportunity to observe and practice in situations. So the learning present when the learner is see, observe, and then they are practice. Okay, in this slide we can see that there are 4 timeline learning transfer. The first one is theoretical model of transfer. Second is game-based learning, GBL and simulations. Third is community of practice, COP. And the last is cognitive apprenticeship, CA. Okay, the next slide is about game-based learning, GBL and simulations. Okay, this interactive environment allow learner to check their understanding of the real world through the observe, model, compare, testing and reasoning. Then, well-designed simulation and games provide the environment with appropriate tools, feedback and scaffold that are necessary for meaningful cognitive and metacognitive learning transfer. Okay, GBL here we need to understand that it is about focus to non-digital device and create learning station. Okay, games that are available in the GBL and simulation is games are used to enhance the learning. Okay, the game must promote learning outcome and problem solving. Okay, community of practice, COP, shaped by individuals who have highly similarities or interests and are willing to encounter challenge related to their shared interests or concern through collaboration and interaction together. Okay, it is about a group of people share their concern and passion on something they do to fulfill their goal. Okay, for example, the group of people discuss and interact with themselves about on activity and idea on how to do it better to fulfill their goal. Cognitive apprenticeship, CA. An expert coach or a professor promote learning through making his or her knowledge and model the required strategy in an authentic activity for students. Okay, it means that the master of a skill, professor, master of skill teach that skill to the apprentice. So the student use the provide knowledge, manipulate it and discover their own way of managing knowledge.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hi everyone. My name is Ismail bin Makrozi and today I will talk about the classroom management issues. Okay, when we talk about the classroom management issues, so it will be more shows on the classroom situation and the environments in the class. So, the teachers will be faced this problem when they want to implement the teaching and also the lecture for the student. So, we have been experienced as a student during our primary and also our secondary school. So we have been looked that our teachers have used variety of the skill and their knowledge make sure to implement their content of learning to make sure that we all understand and gets the idea. Okay, so the teachers is more responsible to make the learning more comfortable to all students and also to make sure the teaching and learning will be run smoothly and perfectly. Okay, so how to cope these issues? So the teachers must have wide variety of skill and the techniques that teachers will use to keep the student more organized, orderly, focused, more attentive on the task, and all the student focusing to submit and also solve the problem. And one of the biggest thing is more academically productive during a class. Okay, so today we gonna learn and also we will more explore on the issues that happen on the classroom. Okay, the first issues is disruptive talking and destructive behavior. So, destructive talking and destructive behavior is one of the biggest issues or problem that have been facing by the teachers nowadays. So, why these issues happen is firstly, the student keeps talks during the teachers give instruction. For example, for starting the class, the teachers will make a instruction and also to explain what the student gonna learn today. But the student shows the destructive talking when they keep talking and makes the instruction not clear and reach the student understanding. So it's one of the talking destructive by the student. Then the second point that shows the destructive behavior is the student wanted to point out view or opinion but in a bad behavior or bad ways. For example, when the teachers wanted for the students to ask the question or to make them the opinions, so they shows that they not follow the rule or follow the a good way, so they will more interrupt the class. So the teachers cannot be controlled when the situation in the class is destructive by the student. Moreover, we know and we also experience on the destructive talking, uh, which is the student keep chit chat with their friends and also not use the good language. And then so the issues that happen is for the teachers was the teacher will lost control in the classroom management. The teachers able and also cannot to keep the student in the direction, which is the teachers will lost control and also cannot to implement the teaching in a good way. Also, it will cause distraction and chaotic environment. So it will keep to distract and also to make sure the student cannot be focused. So when the groups of the student makes the distraction and also make a lot of noise, so it will impact and it will give a bad impacts to the other student that want to focus the study. So it will show that the bad environment. Then the issues also on the negative effect in teaching and learning. So we know that teachers have been set up the good lesson plan, but when it happen on the disruptive talking and distractive behavior during the class, so the teaching and learning cannot run smoothly and also the learning content cannot be achieved by the objective of the learning. So what's the solution on these issues? So first, the teachers needs to establish behavioral expectation. For example, the teachers, before starting the class, the teachers needs to make a clear instrument or to make a clear instruction, which is what the student do or don't during the class. So when the teachers makes the student expectation and set the rules, so it will more clearly for student to follow. And then the second solution or tips for the teachers is use a reminder or non-verbal cues. Okay, so once the teachers see that the student cannot be controlled, so he must remind back the rule and also use non-verbal cues. For example, makes the symbol of the silent and also eyes on me and also many of the symbol and cues. The second points or issues is unfavorable learning condition. The unfavorable learning conditions, one of the common issues or problem that faced by the student and also the teachers during the teaching and learning in the classroom. So, why is happen? It happen when the student feel not comfortable and also cannot focus during the learning. And it also affects to the teachers. When the teachers wants to teach the student, they will feel not comfortable and also cannot achieve the objective of learnings for the today's class. So, once of the why is happen is firstly the overcrowded student in the class. Supposedly, the perfect or ideal amount of students in class is 15 to 20 students per class. But in the government school and or in the Malaysian school, we know that the student in the class is around 30 to 40 student per class. So it shows more overcrowded student in the class. So why so many students in the class will make it issues? Because we know that the teachers cannot control the student behavior because of many of students, and also it will provide the negative behaviors and also problem on the discipline. In order the student that so many in the one class, it will face more problem. For example, they will make a quiet noise, which is they will make a loud noise, and also they will play at the back and also chit chat with their friends. Okay, the second why is this problem happen is near sources of noise. So we know that in Malaysia school the class is more close between another class. So when the teachers have teaching in the class with their student, so in other class is make a lot of noise. So it's make it not comfortable to our student in the class because of the other class noise. So it will make the learning condition more comfortable, it will make the learning condition not comfortable to the student, and they will lead to not more focus. Okay, so the issues that represent this problem is the limited space to conduct group work. When more overcrowded student, more student in the class, so the space is more limit to perform the group work, and then it will increase the classroom discipline issues. For example, they will play at the back during the teacher's lecture, and then they will chit chat, then they will make a noise and many more problem toward the discipline. And also for the easily distracted and lost focus. So when so many problems, so many students in the class, so teachers cannot focus to the student. So teachers cannot get attention by the student will lost their focus. So uh, what the solution to these issues is, firstly, teachers can assign seat for student when necessary. For example, the teachers can provide the student that more make a drama, that or the student that have a problem on their behavior to sit in front. So it will easily for the teachers to access and also focus to them. And also the teachers can plan creative and engaging lesson. So we know that teachers was very good to make a good lesson plan and also to create a good games during the lesson. So is able to the teachers to plan the creative ways to get the student attention and more focus during the lesson, so it will avoid these issues happen. Okay, for the third issues on the classroom management is different levels of understanding. So it happens to the teachers which is use the old method or the same methods towards all their students in the class. We know that in the Malaysian government school is followed by their grades on the examinations to set on which class that they will go. For example, they will have a grade A class, grade B, grade C. So the teachers cannot use the same method or the same approach of teaching between the grade A class and also the grade C class. So the teachers must use a variety of teaching learning method. Okay, so why is happen? Because we know that the student or the nature of student that have more variation of the ability, their behavior, and also their skill and also their understanding. So students have more variety of learning. So the teachers needs to create a variety of teaching and approaching to make the students more understanding. So when the teachers use the same methods, it will make the issues. For example, the student might be able to not follow the teacher's lesson and also feel more boring during the learning in the class. So when it's not more fun, feel boring, so it will provide lack of interest in learning. So it's more bad behavior because the teaching and learning objective cannot be achieved. So what's the solution that the teachers can use is, firstly, use strategic seating. Okay, what is strategic seating? Strategic seating is one of the good technique, which is the teachers, before starting the class, the teachers set up the group. For example, the group of 4 or group of 3, or when the class so many students, the teachers can use a group of 5. So when the students sit in the group, so they will feel more fun, more comfortable, and also they have a good group management. And then the teachers also can manage the group by make it randomly. For example, put the teachers put the student that high performance in the same group with the student that's less performance. So they will work together in the team, help each others. Then the second ways or tips to cope these issues is differentiate the teaching method. So like I said before, when the teacher use the same method, it provide more boring. So when use a different the teaching method with other student, with other class, so it will provide more and more attractive. So because remember the word which is the different approach will make a different understanding. So what's the difference on the teaching method? For example, during the starting class, maybe the teachers can get the student interest by makes a drama, okay, ask the student to sing a song, and then use a lyrics on the textbook by using a song to them, and then makes a competition between the group. For example, make a quiz, for example, make a drama competition, dance competition. So it will more fun, and also it will attract the student understanding and also their interest to learn more during the class. So when the class is more fun, more happy, so the objective of learning will be achieved. So that's all for me, and proceeds to the next presenter.
Okay, hello. I am Aidil Faris bin Azman, and I will be discussing about the impact of effective teaching, impact of effective learning, and also the closure. Okay, let's go. Alright, just now, previous speaker has already been discussing about the effective teaching. Now, we are going for the impact of effective teaching. Right, so the impact of effective teaching, there are 4 that I will be discussed on this chapter. Okay, so for the first one, effective teaching help us in acknowledging the individual differences. By this mean, we can identify and observe that most of our students has various differences in terms of their abilities, strength, and also weaknesses. Such an example, in physical education class, we will notice that some student has a greater advantage in their critical thinking of the sports. Some have a good strength, some of them has a great cardio fitness, some of them have a great skills on top of others, and also their agility. So we can see that there are a lot of different abilities of the students that we can identify. Then, acknowledging individual differences leads a teacher to appreciate the students' ability and working to improve their achievement. Okay, so the next one is monitoring the students' progress. As a teacher, it is our responsibility in developing the students' ability. Every student will go through a learning process which starting from the easiest task to a more difficult and challenging task. Therefore, their progression needs to be monitored to identify their current abilities in order to improve it from one to another. Alright. The third impact of effective teaching, which will be discussed, are able to master the delivery of teaching content. Okay, every teacher need to have a good knowledge and information about the content that they will teach the student. Okay, furthermore, preparing ourselves with an extra information of the teaching content will help us to share more quality information to the student during the class. Okay, as we know, students might come out with some of the creative questions to us in order for them to relate it to their daily life, daily info, and many more. It is also important that we did not deliver a false information to the students, which that will give a negative impact. Alright, okay. So, a teacher must be able to master the delivery of teaching content. Okay, lastly, the effective teaching build positive relationship with the students. Okay, why? Okay, yes. An effective teaching will boost our relationship with the students because students usually like the teacher that care for them, teacher that giving them a great moral support while delivering the teaching content, and also while teaching have some fun, make some jokes with the student to boost our quality of teaching. Sense of humor might be one of the important notes or character as a teachers in building the relationship with the students. And positive relationships with students will help us in delivering the teaching content during the class. Okay, that's all for the impact of effective teaching. Now, I will be discuss about the impact of effective learning. Alright, the first one, which effective learning will make the students become more knowledgeable, more wise, able to solve the problems, and enhancing the critical thinking. They will achieve the objective, and also they will achieve the objective of learning. Okay, next, there will be more positive emotions towards learning. As an example, they will be more excited to learn a new things. They will have a good motivations towards learning, never give up, and also they will set up their goals and dreams. Okay, by doing this, the student might be probably achieve a good results which will push them to a better future and good career in the future. Alright, okay, so the third one is increase engagement and self-directions. For instance, the self-directed learner may pursue learning materials outside a particular course, such as the library or online tutorials, study groups, or writing center resource, because he or she has determined that they need more than what is available in the course to achieve their own learning goals and objective. They will tend to study more about the topics which may lead them to pursue their goals and dreams. The fourth one is reflective learning. Okay, reflective learning. Being a reflective learner involve making their learning a more conscious process. Okay? It helps them to become an active learner by asking questions and thinking critically about their own ideas. Some strategies for reflective learning includes discussing the material, stopping and thinking about what was said or read, and making an effort to apply the materials to one's own life, to their own life. Okay, that is mean by the reflective learning. Okay, and lastly, they will tend to have more developed vision of future self as a learner. Yes, they will develop more visions of themselves in the future, and as it is related to what have been discussed earlier in reaching their dreams and goals. Alright, I think that's all for the impact of effective learning. Alright, now we come to a closure. As a closure, I will share about some of the characters that need to have by a teacher to make yourself a good and lovely teacher in the future. Okay, so look at the slides where the spelling of the teacher, T-E-A-C-H-E-R. Okay, so the first one, T refers to talented. Yes, a teacher must be quite talented in their own fields of teaching. Such an example, PE teacher. PE teacher maybe should have a good talent in sports. English teacher have to be talented regarding the use of language, acting and drama. Okay? Alright, so E. E refers to elegant. Elegant, it means graceful and stylish in appearance or manner. Yeah, a teacher must has class, must have good appearance such as a proper attire, proper dress, okay, dress in a good manner. So, in other words, manners, the use of words, attitude and example to attract the students' first impressions. And A, yes, awesome. A teacher must be absolutely awesome. This will catch the students' interest in learning. C refers to charming. What is charming? Yep, a very pleasant or attractive. Dress well, proper attire, neat hair, neat tudung. Okay. Alright, H. Helpful. Helpful. Yes, a teacher must be really helpful. Every student will have a difficult days, difficult month, difficult life. Okay. Same to students. Students also will experience that moment. Some of them may not have a very good maybe have some family problem, does not have a very good family background. So as a teacher, a petty things in helping the students when they need it will be much meaningful to their lives. So as a teacher, be helpful, be kind to our students. Okay, E, efficient. A teacher must be working in a well-organized and competent way so that the teacher will achieve the maximum productivity with minimum wasted time and effort in delivering the teaching content. So remember, a teacher must be efficient. Alright. Okay, so R, the last one, which is receptive. As a teacher, we should be willing to consider or accept new suggestions and ideas from the student. Listen to your student. Sometimes they have a better idea, a better critical thinking to help us in delivering the teaching content. Okay, that's all. Thank you.